Welcome back, everyone. After a very long layoff, we are back. And of course, as usual, we are still two dudes talking 80s. I'm John. That's my partner in crime, Lewis,
Hello.
who's apparently dressed for a blizzard. Are there blizzards in your area?
It can happen, and if it does, I'm prepared.
All right. I'm tempted to break out the year without a Santa Claus. I'm Mr. Heat Miser. I'm Mr. Anyway. Um, We haven't done this in a while. Life's kind of, thrown us a few curveballs. Apparently, being retired is more busy than I thought it'd be. And you've had some, you know, trips that were unplanned. But we decided we'd come back, and most people would want to come back and make a big splash. Not us. We're going to talk about a movie like three people have ever seen because that's how we do it here. Um, we're talking about the 1986. I can't even say the hit. It was out. The movie we're talking about is Crossroads. And if you clicked on this, seeing that we were talking about Crossroads, and you thought we'd be discussing the Britney Spears movie, and you're getting ready to click off on this, I'm really sorry up front. I will just say, however, I did meet Miss Spears, and she's very nice to me. So I have had a very positive interaction with her, despite all her troubles. But we're not talking about that one. We're talking about the one with the Karate Kid himself, Mr. Ralph Macchio. And most people are like, I didn't even know this movie existed, but they're going to know about it now. So, Lou, do you remember the first time you heard about this movie or even saw this movie?
The first time I heard about it, I was actually with a friend of mine, Russell Knuth, and for a while there, he was like into autographing, right? He'd sort of seek out people to try and grab autographs. And one of the folks that was doing a play down in San Francisco was Ralph Macchio. And so Russ said, "Here, man, take this photo." He gave me some photo that he had out of his, file or whatever. And I looked at it and I'm like, "What is this from?" It's like, "Oh, it's from this movie called Crossroads." And that was the first time that I'd heard of the movie.
Did you get him to sign it?
I did, and I was looking for the autograph before we actually got online, but I wasn't able to find it. It's in my drawer somewhere.
Was he like shocked that somebody was handing him a how long ago was this?
Oh gosh, this was probably, I don't know, 96 or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
he probably was like looking at it going, who the hell remembers this movie?
he was really nice when I met him. I mean, it wasn't for very long, but he was sort of going over, so I'm like, wow, Crossroads, and started talking about the other actor that acted opposite to him. It's like, yeah, unfortunately, this guy died, and he was a great actor, real personable guy. I really enjoyed the short interaction that I had with him.
That's very cool. That's always great to hear. I have never had the pleasure of meeting him. It's kind of cool to see him having a career renaissance with Cobra Kai. And thank you, Kenzie. Of course, now my dog, who's been quiet all night, is going to suddenly start barking because that's how it happens. It's raining out, so I don't even know what she would be barking at. But anyway, never met him. Did meet his cohort in Cobra Kai, William Zabka, also very cool guy. So it must be something about they chose very well when they picked the Karate Kid movies. So how soon after that did you actually see the movie? Because that's like 10 years after the fact the movie came out. Oh,
Quite a
geez.
few years. I would actually venture to say that I watched it 2 or 3 days ago.
I thought you'd seen the movie before.
I had seen clips of it. I'd never seen it all the way through.
This was your idea. You've never seen it?
I had never seen it all the way through. I'd seen lots of little clips on it, and but I
Then
didn't
what
actually
was
ever
the
sit through it.
inspiration for wanting to do this then?
Um, I don't know. I can't even remember that it was my idea. I'm sort of shocked that I came up with such a good idea. No, I don't know, man. I was just, I guess, something that maybe that people aren't aware of, that it's a little slice of 80s that they could go ahead and learn about if they haven't heard about it yet.
Oh, okay. And that you had never seen until we
That I've
decided to
never
do it.
seen. Yes.
Well, I'm a little bit better than you, actually a lot better than you, in this regard, because I actually saw it when it was originally released. I saw it at the old Belmont Theater, and why I remember that I saw it there, I don't know, but I do remember seeing it at the Belmont Theater. I think for a while Belmont had gone before they went under. They had done they started doing the cheap movies, right? Like after they had been released for a while. Like I remember going to see Clue there, and I think yeah, another movie we should talk about. But I do remember going to see Crossroads, which is hysterical to me because you never saw it. I thought this was like a big movie for you. I'm like, okay, this speaks to him. All right, so we have two people that have actually, well, you've seen it now. All right. So
Yeah, I've
anyway,
seen it
for
now.
those that don't know what Crossroads is about, and up until 3 days ago, that included Lewis. Ralph Macchio plays the character of Eugene, who is a guitar prodigy who's actually taking classical guitar lessons at Juilliard. For some reason, and it's weird because it's never discussed why, he's interested in the blues. And he discovers that there is a patient at an elderly care facility named Willie Brown. And he believes that Willie Brown played with Robert Johnson and probably knows one of the unrecorded Robert Johnson song. His goal is to be taught that song, record it, and get famous for it. But again, they never explain, what's going on. Why is this classical guitarist at Juilliard interested in the blues? And I'm guessing you're laughing at the mention of Willie Brown because you're thinking of the San Francisco mayor that you high fived on New Year's Eve.
Yes, yes, I thought about that through the entire movie.
You thought about
Blind
that?
Dog Willie
Okay.
Brown.
You, you know, the rumor, and I say rumor because I don't want to get sued for the no money we make on this. The rumor is Vice President Kamala Harris had relations with Willie Brown, and that's how she got her political start. So we're going off on some tangents here, but that's okay. So anyway, Willie Brown is played by an actor named I keep wanting to say Robert, but Joe Seneca, who I remember him in Silverado, which is another really good movie of the '80s. We haven't seen it. So basically, Willie Brown says to Eugene, "You break me out of here, you take me to Mississippi, I'll teach you the song." And so that's where it starts. When you watched it, I'm still blown away by the fact that you recommended this and had never seen this movie. What if it was a complete piece of, oh well. Anyway, did you find it weird that they never once discussed in this movie what his motivation was?
Who's Eugene's?
Yeah, like I mean, they never discussed where his love of the blues comes from, where a Juilliard classical guitarist would be so interested in the blues, what the connection was. Didn't you find that kind of strange? I kept wondering, like, was there a lot of movie that was cut that explained that? And I couldn't find anything that said that there was.
I didn't really question it. I mean, I just sort of understood that, that was his passion, just like maybe heavy metal is, yours and mine. And, even though that's the case, that, we also like other kinds of music. So I figured he was studying classical guitar because that's what they taught, but that his heart was really in the blues. And I didn't really question it much further than that.
Well, I question movies a lot more than you do. Famous Phoebe Cates and Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but we won't go back into that. Interesting fact is at that time of the movie was actually filmed, Juilliard did not offer classical guitar degrees.
Huh, look at you.
Look at me, I'm bringing the big stuff here.
You're bringing it
So
on, man.
this was actually written by a gentleman by the name of John Fusco. Apparently, he was still in college at the time, and he wrote this for his like master's thesis. And the reason he wrote this is he was dating a woman at the time who worked at I don't know if she was at a hospital. elderly care facility or whatever. But she was describing the fact that at her work today, they had met an elderly black man and he had a harmonica with him. And John Fusco started thinking about, wow, that's interesting. What if this guy was like a famous blues player that nobody remembered? And that's where the harmonica came in. And he actually, this was only like the second script he ever wrote, and he actually was the script sold, and he made $250,000 off of it. Not bad in 1986 for a movie that only I saw. Um, but
Yeah, for a college boy, that's
I thought it was
impressive.
kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's super impressive, especially for a college boy to be sort of waiting around that much money. That doesn't suck.
It does not suck. And do you know who directed this movie?
I could probably read it off of my Wikipedia page here, but I don't see it here quickly. So no, I don't.
Walter Hill. We know what Walter Hill
Don't.
did, right?
I don't.
One of the greatest movies of all time, The Warriors.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, so he directed that too. So anyway, going on with the story. So they make it eventually through a lot of trials and tribulations, kind of the odd couple in travel, make it to Mississippi, where Eugene and Willie meet a young lady played by Jamie Gertz, whose name is Frances, who does not become Willie's love interest, but actually Ralph Macchio's. So I was looking at Jamie Gertz was quite the love interest in the 80s.
Yeah, she was in Lost Boys, wasn't she?
Right. She was star in The Lost Boys and she was in this. There are a couple others that she was in that I always, don't come to mind right now, but she was quite the woman of the hour in the 80s for a period.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
So what did you think about the two of them when they hooked up?
Uh, I thought that the whole scenario was weird where they sort of went into the house and there happens to be this young girl, just there alone in this abandoned house. And I just thought that was a very unlikely scenario. As far as a love interest, I think it worked for them. But yeah, there's a lot of the movie that I just thought I just got to look the other way and not question it too much.
Oh, see, I going back to it, I question all that stuff. But yeah, it was kind of odd. There was nothing that really, I felt like there was nothing about their character interactions that made me led me to believe that she would be interested in him at all. But it was the 80s. Who knew? Um, I'd be remiss. I have to read this quote, and I know it's not PC in this day and age, so it's in the movie, people. But I have to read this quote. Willie Brown, also known as Blind Dog Fulton, says, "Where I came from, you ain't blow no horn, you don't get no pussy." Words to live by, my
Poetry.
friend.
Oh, dude, print a t-shirt right away.
If I get you one, will you wear it?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. All right.
Uh,
Yeah, I guess not. So, what did you think of Joe Seneca? I thought, first off, I thought he was great in this role. He had quite a storied history. Like I said, I remember him mostly from Silverado, and I think his last performance was in A Time to Kill, which is a great movie of the '90s. But I thought he performed this. I thought he was the highlight of, well, second highlight of this movie.
yeah, I thought that they cast him very, very well. He played his part extremely well. I got as far as saying that he was the shining light of the movie. He did very well. I really enjoyed the part that he played, and he was very convincing.
So, originally when they shot this movie, he died. Spoiler alert. In the movie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they did that. And I guess they actually filmed two endings, one where he lives, one where he died. And they did the test audience screenings, and of course the test audience was like, no, we want him to live, and it was much more uplifting. So his character did live at the end of the movie. So if you haven't seen it now, it came out in 1986. I'm not apologizing for spoilers all these years later. um but so a little bit of, he almost didn't make it in the movie.
Huh. That would have made it for an interesting alternate ending. Might have even been better.
Yeah, I don't know when it comes in that he would have died though, because they said he would have died on a Greyhound bus. So I guess at the very end of the movie, maybe they would have shown him separating and on the Greyhound bus, or maybe going with Lightning Boy, which was the nickname given to Eugene. Um, and then maybe he doesn't make it. Who knows? Food for thought. But here's the main reason why I went and saw this movie and why you finally watched it 3 years later. So if those that aren't blues fans are big blues fans, Robert Johnson, the legend of Robert Johnson was that he sold his soul to the devil in an effort to be successful and famous and be such a great guitar player. When they all get to Mississippi, and eventually Willie tells Eugene that, hey, there is no forgotten song. There was nothing left. We recorded everything. Much to Lightning Boy's surprise and ultimate sadness. But Willie tells him, hey, you know what? You've learned so much on this trip. This makes you kind of like the blues man, right? He discovers that there is a gentleman, and I forgot his name, but he actually had signed a pact with the devil. There is this road in Mississippi where you would go out there and you could make a pact with the devil, or I think the devil's representative, who was dressed very well, by the way, and you would give your soul to the devil for the success. And you discover that Willie Brown had actually done just that. I don't know where his money was. I guess he should have made a better pact. I don't know what the pact was. Nobody even knew who he was, but okay. So he made a pact with the devil. So Eugene, not believing that any of this is really true, says, hey, you know what? I want his soul back, and they called it cutting. You could go against a guitar player named Jack Butler, and you could be involved in a cutting contest. Jack wins. We get your soul too. If you beat Jack, Willie gets his soul back. So he agrees to this with a famous line, Jack Butler's gonna love you. And they next thing you know, they're in this venue. And who is the playing guitar for the devil? Steve fucking Vai. How cool. That's the reason I went to the movie. I knew it was Steve Vai was in this. I wanted to see it. That was the only reason I sat through this movie. And I'm like, can we get Steve Vai, please? And when he finally appears, he's like the skinny rock god that he's always been. Was that the big thing for you as well, I'm guessing?
100%. One thing I do want to sort of tie into the title, the Crossroads was where they would go and make the deal with the devil. That's why they call the movie The Crossroads. So, and apparently Vi had done the same thing. I couldn't even remember the character's name that Vi played. It was just like you said, Steve Vai, and that's what
Jack
really
Butler.
attracted you to the flick. Jack Butler. Okay. So yeah, that was just amazing, right? Just to watch him solo, and apparently he did both of the parts. He played the part that of Jack Butler, and he also played the part of Eugene, which was pretty phenomenal for the technology at that point, right? Because I mean, looking at it, it's you can't tell. I couldn't tell.
I heard that Ralph Macchio was trained by Arlen Roth, and Arlen Roth played a lot of the parts. And originally, Arlen Roth was gonna they had composed something else. It was supposed to be blues based, right? And so there was a lot of, well, wait a sec, why are we going from this blues based movie to this guy that's shredding in the 80s? Which I'm glad they did, or I never would have seen the movie. Um, so there was a lot of controversy around that and why they would do that. And they felt that if they did that, they would make the movies feel very dated. Um, but whoever made that call, and I don't know if it was Walter Hill or if it was, the studios that financed it, they went with the Vi route. Um, and originally they had filmed another scene where they get there and Steve Vai is cutting heads or having this guitar contest with another person, a blues person who he beats. So they wanted to show in that arena how scary of a guitar player Jack Butler really was. And I guess they cut it. The other thing that kills me is the original version of it was 12 minutes, Jack Butler versus Eugene. And they cut it down thinking it wouldn't last, it would be too long and it wouldn't keep interest and all that. It's like, come on. So I'd love to see that footage. Would absolutely love to see that
Wow.
footage. So, but Arlen
Yeah.
Roth, the one thing that they did do is they said when you watch Ralph Macchio play, he's in all the right positions because of how he taught. Now he couldn't play it that way, but you know how sometimes you see like, you watch these people are supposed to play guitar and they're changing chords and they're on the same damn chord the whole time. He actually knew where to be positionally on the guitar for it, which is why it looks probably a lot better than most.
Oh, so it's actually him. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, not playing, but it's actually his fingering. So I don't know if you remember Arlen Roth. Arlen Roth, I think, had used to sell like videos or did these teachings. You could mail order back in the day. Like he did, he always had advertisements in Guitar Player and Guitar for the Practicing Musician and stuff where you could learn Arlen Roth guitar methods. So, do you remember those or?
Yeah, I don't remember him at all. No. Mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah, don't remember the movie. Never saw the movie. Don't remember this.
I saw the movie. You keep saying that never saw the movie. I saw it,
2 days.
but I saw it.
So I gotta ask you. Oh, did you hear something I thought was interesting? Do you know who else they considered to for the part of Jack Butler before they chose Steve Vai?
No.
Stevie Ray Vaughan, Keith
Oh, that would have been
Richards,
good.
and Frank
Eh,
Zappa. Frank
Zappa would have been
Zappa,
good
you kind of
too.
have the Steve Vai, tutelage there because obviously Vai played with Zappa. But yeah,
Right.
those were three other people that were considered for the part. Now, what do you think? Do you think they should have had a blues guitarist versus a blues guitarist for the final scene, or you're probably I know where you're gonna lean, but I'm guessing you're happy that Steve Vai was in the movie as well.
I was happy that Steve Vai was in it. I think it would have been a little more authentic if somebody like Stevie Ray Vaughan played the part, because I do think that apples to apples, the blues against blues would have been. I've missed that. I've been waiting for an opportunity to do that. Uh, I do think that it would have
You're
made
juggling those apples.
it would have made it would have been truer to the movie.
Hmm. Yeah. So you get to Steve Vai, and Steve Vai plays the most incredible solo. I remember for a while that this, and obviously Eugene, which was Steve Vai, um, people tried. That was the thing for a while. It, kind of like how Eruptions, well, still is. That I remember everybody trying to learn that Steve Vai solo. That was such a huge thing that everyone was trying to learn it, break it down, everything else, and um, you know, this what this was probably around the time he recorded this, probably before he joined David Lee Roth. So he wasn't really that famous at that point.
Yeah, yeah, you might be right.
Well, I'm trying to think timelines, and the last Van Halen album with Roth before he returned was 1984. Figured they toured for a while with him, and so yeah, it probably was before he joined. Of course, he's playing a Jackson soloist. The guitar that I also played for most of my career, and it never once sounded like Steve Vai, so I'm very upset by that. Um, and ultimately, shockingly, Ralph Macchio beat Steve Vai.
In what world, right?
In what world? In what world does that happen? Could you imagine if they got Ingve? I think Ingve would have probably been even better.
Yeah, yeah.
And the
I don't know.
neoclassical, devilish stuff, like all the blazing harmonic minor. I think that would have been pretty cool. It was still Ingve when he was young and, wasn't quite, well, I'm sure he was still an asshole, but not as bad,
One can hope anyway.
you know. So, yeah, those were a few of the things about the movie. And at the end, after he gets beaten, Steve Vai or Jack Butler drops the Jackson, which always killed me. But apparently it wasn't his Jackson. They put in a different guitar for that. And that
Nice.
Jackson apparently is in one of the Hard Rock cafes. I don't know where, but they actually
Wow.
went ahead and they purchased it. So that's where it exists today.
Very, very cool, man. I really liked how they were dueling, both of them were still sort of blues. Obviously, Vi was leaning towards rock, right? Obviously, Vi was there. Obviously, Vi was leaning towards the rock side. But what I thought was really cool was that to win the cutting contest, Eugene had to fall back to his classical roots. And I thought that that was really neat, right? It was really neat. It's like he really loved the blues and stuff, but the classical training came in handy.
It did. And he kind of stole from who on that one?
Uh, it's Paganini, right?
Yeah, yeah. Who didn't play guitar, but that's okay. The violinist, for those of you that aren't classical fans. But yeah, so let me ask you now that you've seen it in 2023, December of 2023, on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you rate the movie?
6.5 to a 7.
Yeah, I'd go a little
Yeah.
over. I'd probably go a 6. I'm not as fond of it as you obviously were, to recommend that we do this. But I will tell you, being a teenager and being in that theater, and when Steve Vai just came on that screen and just lit up that screen, it was worth whatever completely expensive ticket I paid for at that time, which probably was like $3. But at that time, $3 was probably a lot for me. But oh man, that was just such an amazing thing. And I've actually I never tried to learn that part. I've never tried to learn the Steve Vai thing. Did you ever try it? Oh yeah, you
I
just
haven't.
found
That's
out
way, way
about
out
it
of my
with
league.
the last
No,
couple of days.
I've
Have you tried?
that's the part that I've actually seen over and over and over, right? Because you go on to Instagram and stuff, you see people that have learned it and are playing it, or you see that clip of the movie just playing over and over and over. And every time it comes up, I watch it because it's just so cool. Um, what was I going to say beyond that? Crap, brain
You
fart.
never tried
But
to learn
anyway,
it though?
yeah, that's way, way, way beyond any of my capabilities. That's yeah, no.
All right. Well, we again. very, very unusual movie. Apparently the reviews were pretty good. Like Roger Ebert really liked it. Um,
Interesting.
didn't do
Interesting.
very well. I don't, I think they marketed it wrong at the time, and I think it'd be a very difficult movie to market in any age, right? Like, here are the Karate Kids with another old guy. This time he plays guitar. It's just kind of a strange thing, but I think it worked. I think it worked for the '80s. Jamie Gertz was good in it. Ralph Macchio was good. Joe Seneca was great. The guy that played the devil's henchman or whatever, sadly, I looked him up. He was only in two movie roles his entire life, and he died of stomach cancer before this movie came out. Forgot the
Oh,
gentleman's name.
horrible.
I apologize, but yeah, that was unfortunate.
It's really it's sad that they didn't keep what you had said earlier with, the cutting that again, I can't remember the character's name, but Steve Vai's character,
Jack
uh
Butler.
Jack Butler, uh, you know, sort of finishing off one guy and then, coming to Eugene and doing him next. I think would have been really, really cool. And it's unfortunate they didn't do that. And, that's more guitar playing that we sort of missed out on.
Yeah, and I heard it's filmed. So again, it's one of those things like, this is one of the things where I like, DVDs and everything when, especially when they come out with special DVDs and they find all this stuff that you've never seen before, whether it was like, Eric Stoltz and Back to the Future or, some of the
Right.
stuff that's really historic to see, auditions or whatever. That was something that I always really enjoyed about, the extras on DVDs when they'd really delve in and find these like hidden gems, deleted scenes. I'd be like, wow, would that be a better movie if that scene was in it? And sometimes you think, wow, it's a good thing they didn't cut it or that they did cut it. And other times you're like, man, I should have been in the movie. And you find out, you watch and like this is why it was cut out. And it's like, okay, that might make sense, but still wish I had it. So I'll have to search for it, see if there's anything that exists on the original, scene with Jack Butler and the other bluesmen, see if it's actually available. So anyway, I think we're about done with Crossroads here, and probably nobody's watched this because the same amount of people that watched the movie when it came out, me, are watching this now. But if you did watch this, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Sorry we've been gone for so long. This is going to come out, I guess, the Christmas Eve. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Look forward to the new year. Anything in particular you're looking forward to for this Christmas, Lou?
Not really, John. I actually have to work on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, but gonna hang out with my mom and some family friends and stuff, and that should be nice.
You're like John McClane working on Christmas Eve. It's not quite as badass. Well, maybe a little bit of badass. I don't know. Don't shoot off any machine guns, okay?
I'll do my best, John.
All right. Well, as always, we appreciate you guys watching. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Hopefully, we'll come back much sooner next time and with something that people actually know about. Great call, Lewis. As always, we appreciate you guys. And Lou, take us out, brother.
Peace out.
Thank you, guys.